Perfect practice makes perfect. Steve Sharpe.
Tiger Woods, Gandhi, Bill Gates, Marlon Brando, Winston Churchill. Anybody not know those people? What do they have in common? Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome and honored guest. Those people are all at the top of their field. They're all recognized as being true standouts in the world. Have you ever wondered how they got to be that way? Are people is there such a thing as a born salesman? Or do they become that? How do people get to be so great? We know how to recognize excellence, but can we explain it? Questions like these have led to the development of a field of study called the science of excellence. Maybe you don't want to be the next Elvis, but maybe there is something in your life that you'd like to improve. Come with me as we talk about excellence, and I would like to share the story of 3 people who are recognized for their excellence. One person who's excellent in the world of music is Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Mozart was recognized as a virtuoso at a very young age. Interestingly enough, Mozart's father was a composer, a music teacher, and a musician. He started teaching Mozart's older sister, so Mozart was exposed to music from the time he was a baby. His serious lessons began about age 3, and that age is significant. It's been shown by studies that if you are exposed to music education before you're 6 years old, you've got a great chance of developing what's called perfect pitch. Perfect pitch is the ability to hear a note one time and be able to identify it or reproduce it. It's been estimated that approximately 1 in 10,000 people has this ability naturally, so it's rare. Historians have confirmed that Mozart indeed did have perfect pitch, and his music education started about age 3. It took him about 10 years before he was really recognized as something special. But he started early, and he had a great career. Have you heard of the 10,000 hour rule? Anybody heard of that? The 10,000 hour rule is not really a rule. Let me explain. A professor named Anders Ericsson did research on the field of excellence. In particular, he studied violinists who were just entering music college. And he went to the professors and he had them rank them. Who was the top, the very best? Who was above average? And then who was just good? And then he looked at these students and he said, what's different about them? And he found the one clear and concise difference between the top and the average was the amount of time they had put in practicing over the previous 10 years. The very top had practiced about twice as much as those who were just average. The 10,000 hour rule was popularized by a writer named Malcolm Gladwell, who took the research that Professor Anders had done and sort of generalized it and said, if you practice something for 10,000 hours, you will be an expert in your field. 10,000 hours. That's a long time. If you follow sports at all, you've probably heard the name Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was a great basketball player, had a 20-year career in the NBA with the LA Lakers. He was the most valuable player for the NBA in 2008, and he also won gold medals in the Olympics in 2008 and 2012, playing basketball for the U.S. national team. Interesting story is told about Kobe. One of the trainers for the team had given Kobe his personal cell phone number and said, if you want to do a little extra practice, give me a call. Next morning, about 4:15 a.m., the trainer's phone rang. Hello? Hey, it's Kobe. Can you come down to the gym? I'd like to get in some more practice. Sure. 4:15 in the morning, the trainer goes down to the gym, works with Kobe for about an hour and 15 minutes, then goes back up to take a nap before the actual practice begins. 11 a.m. for the scrimmage, the trainer's back downstairs. Kobe's still down there, shooting. He wanted to shoot 800 free throws. 800 free throws before the practice started. You can imagine that Kobe has practiced a lot over the years. There's a few caveats to the 10,000 hour rule. First of all, if you're going to be partaking in some form of sports or physical activity, there are certain things. For instance, if you're 5 feet tall and you want to be in the NBA, you're going to have a little problem there. Not that you can't make it, you're just going to have to work really, really hard. Secondly, this has to be a very deliberate, particular form of practice. In fact, Professor Anders calls it deliberate practice. One area where deliberate practice certainly has an effect is in the world of chess. If you know anything at all about chess, you know that Bobby Fischer was one of the great, if not the greatest, chess players in the world. How did he get to be there? Fischer started playing chess when he was 6 years old. He was given a toy chess set. He began playing, he began studying, he began reading. One interesting thing about chess is you get better, not necessarily by playing games, although that is important, but you get better by studying the games of the grandmasters. You get better by reading chess books. It's been said that Fischer read all the chess books in English. Then he taught himself Russian so he could read all the chess books in Russian. He started when he was age 6. By age 15, 9 years later, he became an international grandmaster. It is said he immersed himself in chess. He dropped out of high school when he was 16 years old to totally devote himself to chess. I found 7 different sources that cited him as the greatest chess player in the world. Many others said he was among the best. So if you want to take up deliberate practice, there are 3 things that are essential to know. First of all, with deliberate practice, you must focus. I drove here this morning. I had my radio on. I was thinking about my speech. I missed my turn. Had to go around the block. I was driving mindlessly. Contrast that with, say, a NASCAR driver who's practicing for a race. He's going to be totally focused on that car, what it feels like, what it sounds like. Where am I going to put on the brake when I go into the turn? How much am I going to turn the steering wheel? Totally focused on what he's doing. And that's the first characteristic of deliberate practice, total focus. Secondly, you have to be specific. In other words, when Tiger Woods goes out to practice, he doesn't just go play 18 holes of golf. This morning, he might practice putting. This afternoon, he might practice chipping out of the sand trap. He focuses in on a specific area. Finally, there's feedback. In deliberate practice, you need to get feedback. If Tiger Woods is putting, he's going to see right away whether he made the hole or not. Think about our CC manual, our Competent Communicator manual. When we enter Toastmasters to learn about speaking, there's 10 projects. Each one of those covers one area, using props, vocal variety, body language. So we are doing deliberate practice. then our evaluator gives us immediate feedback after our speech. So whether you want to be great, whether you want to just improve at something, maybe you want to become an expert, or maybe you want your children to become an expert at something, I want you to use deliberate practice. Remember, perfect practice makes perfect. Mr. Toastmaster.